Well, good evening. Sunday night amateur video time, and like to take you from week 1 to week 2 really quickly. Uh, First thing to say is I really have appreciated the discussion board in week 1. It was a really great job finishing up reading it. Like I said, I do read everything that goes in there. Sometimes I just don't comment on everything because you guys were doing such a great job of going back and forth. And what I view at my best in this case is to go in there and ask an interesting question, maybe kind of poke and prod a little bit and see if I can't get everybody talking and thinking, and it sure looked like it worked this week. So that's what happened, and I'm really happy with it. Can't thank you enough. Keep it up. I think it'll get more interesting as we go on. So what you'll see in this week's work is you'll notice as we go into Unit 2, tone is going to change just a little bit. I'm still trying to stir up some trouble with some videos and some reading that you may wonder why it's there, and we'll get to that. So what I thought I'd start off this week, though, you'll notice in the unit itself, I have a written lecture on what my views were on what we were talking about in the discussion board. You'll notice I said to people during the week that I wanted to hold back. I was much more interested in what you thought at that point, and hopefully you're somewhat interested in what I think, but now you give it a chance to find out. And then we move right into a video I actually prepared a while ago for an earlier version of this class, and they were going along right about at the same pace and the same reactions you had. So admittedly, I was a little bit lazy and said, you know what, that one's still good. Let me include that this week. So as I said in my written announcement, that explains why in the nice comfortable spring weather that we're having now, that you see a guy sitting there in a bulky sweater talking to you. Did it quite a while ago when it was cold. But it's still the same course, and that proves that a lot of people come away with the same reactions. I think it's very important. Okay, this week as usual, there's seems to be early on in the course, I know a lot of people will think that there's an overwhelming amount of material. And what we're moving into right now is things that are a little bit more practical. First week was a little bit more philosophical about strategy. Now we're going to be a little bit more practical. What are we trying to do? We're trying to introduce this week the concept of competitive advantage. And as I say in a couple of lectures, just the name competitive advantage, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. How do we get an edge on those we are competing with? So what you're going to see this week is more from Michael Porter at the Harvard Business School and his 5 forces model. The 5 forces model has been around for a long time. It's something that he developed, first published in about, I believe, 1979 or 80. It's been around that long. But it's a very thought-provoking model. It's one that's been used and talked about in strategy development, not only in business, but in not-for-profit organizations, in government. It's a very prominent thinking model, and I really want you to consider that. You'll notice also the material in the unit from chapters 2, 3, and 4. And you're probably saying, wow, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it is. So here's the strategy. Speaking of strategies, it's more a tactical thing I'm going to tell you right now to make the distinction. I want you to maybe, if you're pressed for time, go quickly through chapters 2 and 3. They kind of set the framework for competitive advantage, and then pay the closest attention to chapter 4. That will help you the most. Then, when you've done all that, looked at the pieces I've put together for you to watch, then come back in and try your hand at the discussion board question, where I'm going to ask you to compare Porter's model with the book, with competitive advantage, how does it fit into the 5 forces, all sorts of factors like that. And that's going to give us the framework for where we want to go. Because what we're all leading up to, like I threatened to early in the course information in week 1 and all that coming up till now, I told you there's going to be a major project, and it's going to be time to introduce that. So towards the end of this week, or maybe the very first thing next week, I will be introducing the project that you're going to be working on for the rest of the course. I think it's an interesting one. I just finished doing this project for the first time on campus. You will be the first online group to do this new project, to do this new case study. I've switched up from some of the older cases that I was using. Number one, to be a little different in how I give people a chance to approach strategy development. And the fact is, I was using another case for several months and several semesters in a row, and that case has now become a little bit outdated. So in a way, I'm going farther back in time to come up with a newer case, and I think you're going to see what I'm talking about. So again, if there are any questions, please let me know. It's a lot of material. Great work last week. Please keep it up, and I will be following the same path and method that I did last week. I'm not going to be participating directly except when necessary. I'm going to get the grades for the first discussion board up as soon as I can. Try to offer some commentary with each one so you know how we're doing, and we'll be making preparations the rest of this week to really start the group project next week. Okay, thanks for all your attention, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much.